Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my week 10 best bets. I've got 4 picks for you guys today. I'm giving you an extra one. Usually I do 3, but this week I like 4 picks. So real quick before we get into it, I just want to remind you guys, hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. But without further ado, let's get into the picks. My first pick is Tampa Bay -6 at Carolina. And it's the only pick I'm taking in the 1 o'clock window. And it's Tampa Bay to cover as 6-point favorites against Carolina. I think we have an overreaction on 2 sides of this line and a very motivated Tampa Bay team. We have a overreaction to what we all watched on Sunday Night Football, where Tampa Bay was absolutely destroyed. We all saw it. They played one of the ugliest games we've seen all season. The market watched, and I think a lot of people overreacted to that, including the market. And then on the other side, we saw Teddy Bridgewater and his Panthers take the Chiefs down to the wire, which I actually predicted last week. It was one of my best bets. But I think the Panthers right now are slightly overvalued by the market, while the Buccaneers may be undervalued. So, again, there's an overreaction on both sides. And then, as I said, the Buccaneers are coming off a huge loss against New Orleans on Sunday Night Football. And this leads me to believe we're going to get a very highly motivated Buccaneers team. They're going to want to prove some people wrong after what happened last week. And, we saw this week 1 and 2 where the Buccaneers lost the big game week 1 against the Saints, came back and played the Panthers, where they dominated 31-17 and covered the spread. I think we're going to see a similar thing to what we saw in those first couple weeks here. They're going to come back and have a bounce back game. Not to mention that Tom Brady has been fantastic after a loss in his career. 65% against the spread in his career when coming off a loss, which is very, very impressive, a trend I want to follow. And Carolina, they've been decent this year, but against better defenses, not as much. The top 10 defenses they have played, they've averaged 16.5 points, and the Buccaneers are one of those top 10 defenses. So I like a good defense, a motivated Tampa Bay to come here and win 31-20 and cover the 6-point spread against the Carolina Panthers. All right, let's move on to my second pick. We got another in-division matchup in my first pick in the 4 o'clock window. It is Cincinnati plus 7.5 at Pittsburgh, and I really like this pick. I actually picked Cincinnati to win this game in a huge upset on Wednesday with me and Into Sports in our Pick'em video, but I like Cincinnati quite a bit, and here's why. Well, Cincinnati, they've been very good against the spread this season. They're 6-1-1, and why is that? Because they throw the ball a lot with Joe Burrow. This offense is built for hanging in games, and I like them especially in bigger spreads like this one over a touchdown here with 7.5. Not to mention, Cincinnati is off a bye. I think it's really going to help. They got a big rest advantage here over Pittsburgh. And, what about the Ravens front 7? Last time the Cincinnati played an elite front 7 in the Ravens, they were blown out 27-3, right? And Pittsburgh has an elite front 7. But Pittsburgh plays to the level of their competition, and I really, really like that. Because Pittsburgh, they've let the other team hang in games. 5 out of their 8 games have been one-possession games. They've let worse teams hang around. And they're not just going to blow you out like the Ravens. They're not just going to keep packing it on. Because the Ravens, that's what they do. Beat up on bad teams. 2 out of their 7 games have been one-possession games. So, the Steelers, they're not likely to just keep piling it on like the Ravens. I think the Bengals are going to have a much better shot here in this game. And, as I said, the Steelers, they let other teams hang around like the Broncos, the Eagles, the Cowboys. And the Bengals pass the ball a lot. They're a nightmare for bettors betting against them because they can backdoor cover in so many ways. We saw this against Cleveland. And then, as I said, the bigger line lends to backdoor covers in over a touchdown. The backdoor is always going to be open for Cincinnati. And I think they catch the Steelers a little bit off guard. Divisional game, often closer games. And I love Joe Burrow, a top 10 quarterback to me. So I like the Cincinnati Bengals to come out here, catch the Steelers off guard, and hand the Steelers their first loss of the season, 27-26, and obviously cover the 7.5 point spread. Next, and my third pick is San Francisco plus 10 at New Orleans. I'm taking another road team here, and this is my second pick at the 4 o'clock window. I like, again, San Francisco to cover that 10-point spread. I think it's a perfect opportunity for San Francisco to catch New Orleans a little bit off guard here. The Saints, as we talked about with the Buccaneers, they're coming off a big emotional win on Sunday Night Football against the Buccaneers where they were absolutely dominant. San Francisco coming off a bad loss against the Packers on Thursday Night Football, which means that they get extra rested for this game. They have extra time to prepare, which I like quite a bit. And that means even more when you have a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. Since 2019, the 49ers have been 5-1 against the spread when they have a rest advantage. That's a trend that I want to follow for sure because that has a rest advantage and Shanahan is able to scheme up even more for the coming week. And Shanahan has done a great job with this 49ers team as well. And yes, Jimmy Garoppolo was out for this game, but to me, it doesn't make too much of an impact, and Vegas agrees. Only about a 1.5 or 2 point gap because the Shanahan system doesn't matter too much who the quarterback is, as long as they can hit the throws that the coach wants them to hit. All of the system comes from the coach, and the quarterback doesn't have to make too many plays outside of the system. Nick Mullins will do a good enough job. He's a little bit worse than Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's not going to impact them. For example, like if the Eagles lost Wentz or the Packers lost Rodgers, it would be terrible because the offense completely relies on them making plays outside of the system. But that's not what the 49ers are. So I'm not too concerned with Jimmy Garoppolo being out. And, we saw the 49ers last year play the Saints incredibly well. A very high-scoring game and a wildly entertaining game. Shanahan and this offense had their way with the Saints defense, which has been much worse this year than last year, despite what we saw on Sunday Night Football last week. So, I think the 49ers, they're getting healthier, very important. I think Shanahan, with that extra rest, extra time to prepare, does wonders in this game. And it's a huge game for the 49ers as well. They're currently 4-5. If they lose this game, they have a very unlikely route to the playoffs in such a good division. And a win would mean a lot. They're definitely still in the playoff race if they get a win. I don't think they can pull it off, but I think they really are able to catch the Saints a little bit off guard from the start and keep this game relatively close. I like the Saints to still win this game, though, 26-20. But the 49ers hang in there and cover the spread. All right, my fourth and final pick is Baltimore at New England, and I like New England +7 here. I'm taking the Sunday Night Football game, the game that everyone's going to be watching. I love the spot here for the New England Patriots. I think they're going to, I've talked about this with every game. I think they're going to catch them a little bit off guard. Because think about who the Ravens have played for the past 2 weeks. The Pittsburgh Steelers, very close, very physical game, division rival. And then they play the Indianapolis Colts, a big AFC matchup. Very physical, good defense, 2 defensive games. And what that means is they couldn't look ahead to this game with the Patriots. Not to mention, next week, the Ravens get a matchup with the Titans, and that is a huge revenge game. If you know what happened last year, the Titans destroyed them last season in the playoffs. We all know that. And I think that the Ravens are really looking forward to that game. That's circled on their schedule. I think they could be looking ahead to that big game next week. Now, what about New England? Last week, they played the Jets, and yes, it was close, but I think that may have had something to do with the fact that they were looking ahead to this week against the Ravens, and that's why the game was so close. Now, a lot of people, I think including Vegas, are looking at, well, that Jets game was so close, and the Jets are the worst team in the NFL, so it must have been a terrible performance by New England. But I actually was impressed by what we saw from the Pats offense. Cam Newton played great, really established a connection with Jacoby Myers. He was accurate in that game. They were able to get a lot of things going on offense. Yes, they face a tough Ravens defense, but I liked what I saw from the Patriots offense quite a bit. And I'm really focused on Bill Belichick in this game, arguably the greatest coach of all time in NFL history. And I think that this is where we see him shine and call a fantastic game. The Patriots, they have their backs against the walls. If they lose this game, their season is as good as done. Whereas if they win, they can still hold out some hope for the playoffs. Now, Lamar Jackson, he's been good this year. But I guarantee Bill Belichick spent the entire offseason sitting there studying what the Ravens did last season non-stop, preparing for this game, maybe a matchup in the playoffs. And I think Belichick does a great job slowing down guys he has a read on, and I think he's going to call a great defensive game, really confuse the Ravens here. I expect a low-scoring game and a defensive battle here, and those 7 points are going to mean a lot more in a low-scoring game. I do like the Ravens to squeak out of this game, but New England puts up a fight, but they eventually do fall to the Ravens 27-24. All right, those are my 4 picks for week 10 of the NFL season. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, until next time, peace.